Hey everybody, it is me, the Queen Time Machine, Dr. Brenda B. Happy day after Christmas. And you know what my first question has to be? How you spending? You've been given another deck of 86,400 seconds. And you get to choose how to spend them. And we can choose to win and we can choose to lose. But even if we think we're not making a choice, then we just made a choice to choose. Now, I am just asking you for one solitary second so that we can stand in solidarity. As we stand in solidarity, that means that we're unifying over that small percentage that we may agree on, even if we disagree on 99.9% of things or 99% of things. So we got this 1% that we can give 100%, or we have a 0.01% that we can give 100%, and we know to never say that zero is nothing because zero is always up to something. And today, that's really going to play out. Now, there are two things that we have to cover today, along with this entire week. So let me talk about it. The first one is Kwanzaa. A couple of things have happened since Christmas. And now what we get to start is a new tradition because we're not done with traditions yet. This is an African American cultural holiday, and it is celebrated from December 26th today, or yesterday if you're in the down under, to January 1st. During Kwanzaa, people say to each other, Havari, Gani. Havari, Gani, which means, what's the news? Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa celebrates the traditional values of family, community, responsibility, and culture. Dr. Melina Karenga, civil rights activist, writer, educator, and professor, is credited as the creator of Kwanzaa in 1966. So Kwanzaa is actually a fairly new traditional celebration. I have, for a number of years, done a post on every day of Kwanzaa. So I'm not giving you new information. In fact, I will post my presentation from whenever the most recent one is, which I know is probably pre-COVID maybe. But Kwanzaa is Swahili for first fruits of the harvest. I was letting you know that because it is something that I have not only been passionate about, but have also taught about on social media platforms. And education is what we're all about. Seeds of Wisdom in New Ground, which is a 501c3 organization recognized by that particular code at a federal level in the United States of America. And also we are acknowledged in the Department of Financial Institutions in the state of Wisconsin. Seeds of Wisdom in New Ground, we're sowing, is all about education. It is a non-religious charitable organization, one which you can donate to. And your contributions are tax deductible. And we appreciate any support that you offer. I educate because I believe that if we coalesce around the small percentage that we agree on, that we can advance positive social change in all the areas that we need it in, whether it's hunger, whether it's poverty, whether it's homelessness, whether it's shelter, whether it's clothing, whether it's animal rights, people rights, creation rights, global rights as citizens of the globe. And then I am all about educating so that we can reduce those barriers that are called determinants and detriments. So as we look at these core indicators that may be destructive to society, then sewing exists to advance education so that we all have an opportunity to do what I've been telling you the whole time. So this is not something that I just popped up and started doing, but there are a couple of things that I talk about. I talk about the weight of the crown. Being a regal royal is hard out here in these streets. Cap us so we can breathe. Understanding that the weight of the crown is heavy, but it means glory, and glory means heavy, and it is the glory. So we're managing that. We're also managing the kingdom time zone and really looking at God's clock, and creation's watch, and teaching people how to live in increments of seconds. Simply because I have my own testimony where God told me, God reduced me down to seconds. I didn't know how many were in a day. But now that I do, now I know that there are 86,400 seconds in every day. And in every deck that he gives us that many chances and opportunities. Time and chance comes to us all. And when it comes, we have a chance and an opportunity to choose wisely. I'm asking you to give me 1 second of in solidarity to stand for every 1 minute post that I make. And today I'm doing 2. So we got some double duty going on because there are 2 traditions that are very strong and very active. One started yesterday and one started today. And the one that started today is Kwanzaa. So as we look at this Swahili word for first fruits of the harvest, Swahili is the native language of several countries in East Africa. So Heri za Kwanzaa means happy Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa has colors, and the colors for Kwanzaa are black for the people, red for the bloodshed and struggle, and green for the future and hope that comes from the struggle. A candle holder called a kinara. So you know we have already dealt with the menorah. So now we have a kinara which has 7 candles, and in the central piece of it is the central piece of decor for how this celebration is dressed up. And Kwanzaa is a dressed up kind of celebration. So we have a kente cloth pattern that we have laid on a table. We have the elements that represent the colors, and not only the colors, but the symbols. So the kinara has 3 red candles on the left, it has 3 green candles on the right, and it has 1 black candle in the middle. And the 7 candles reflect the Nguzo Saba, the principles of Kwanzaa. And 1 principle is celebrated each day, and they start on December 26th. So you are here for day 1. Gifts, which are called Zadai, Zawadi. You may hear it different ways. Zawadi, Zawadai, Zwadai. Unity cup, Kikombi, Cha UMOJA. Dried corn, Mazoa. Woven tablecloth, Makika. And Kanara and Mishuma Saba, the candle holder and the candles. And they depict the celebration decor. Another reason I will post a presentation, because I have samples of those in there. Other guiding principles. You decorate a dedicated space for the Kwanzaa elements as the Kwanzaa table. So you should have a Kwanzaa table in your house if you're going to celebrate Kwanzaa. Very similar, as I told you, if you were going to celebrate Hanukkah. Whoever lights the representative candle for each day should give a brief statement about the meaning of the principle and or a poem or passage about the principle. And the UMOJA, the unity cup, is filled with fruit juice, and each person takes a sip from the cup and passes it around. Alternatively, each person can have their own unity cup with a symbolic one remaining in the middle as part of the decor. So you see, we are also COVID friendly with this particular celebration and how it is carried out. After the candle is lit, the principle is explained and the juice is shared. The candles are extinguished until the next day, and the activities for the principle are engaged by all that are participating. And each day, the candles from the previous day and the one for that particular day are lit, but they are then extinguished at the end of a short ceremony. Unlike Hanukkah, this is not a from sundown to sundown celebration, but rather within the representative 86,400 seconds at a time that works for you and those who are celebrating with you, whether that's at home or at work or at church or at a community setting or wherever it may be. And you should check out who's doing Kwanzaa around. Engage in these various activities, because the only way that we can coalesce in solidarity is if we understand these various traditions. I'm not saying you should adopt any or all, but the knowledge, the education to be able to make informed decisions about how we stand in unity and solidarity, then it is important to understand what people are celebrating around you. Why? so we can be respectful, because we do respect individuality, even though we have this symbiotic unity, right? So on the sixth day, which is New Year's Eve, the Kwanzaa Karuma, or feast, is a highlight of the day, including a party atmosphere with additional decorations, holiday dishes, uplifting poems and stories, traditional clothing, gifts given to primarily children, and the Tamshila Tuta Onana is read, and the Harambe salute concludes the evening. And that will be explained more as we get further. So here we are, day 1, December 26th. And today is UMOJA, or guess what? Unity. Havari Gani. And today's answer is UMOJA. So on day 1, the black candle is lit. UMOJA, or in English, unity, is the principle that strives for and maintains unity in the family, in the community, in the nation, and in the race. This is a day of togetherness, sharing of feelings, solving of problems and issues, reconciling differences. Unity, or UMOJA, is the central theme of Kwanzaa, and therefore the black candle resides in the middle of the Kinara. So this celebration starts out with some heavy lifting. It starts out with people being willing to have conversations about issues and to be active listeners. So we listen with the expectation that there's no such thing as nothing, because 0 is always up to something. So we are listening actively in a respectful way. And so there's work in Kwanzaa. There is a commitment to come together to work through the hard issues, because we'd rather work through them and come to a unified solution so that we can walk away stronger and more powerful in a solidarity fashion. You will hear a lot of children named after the Kwanzaa days. So do any of you know someone named UMOJA? UMOJA means unity. So as we are committed to solving problems, as we are committed to discussing issues, as we are committed to reconciling differences, okay, here's where I got to tell you. Forgiveness is something you can do all by yourself. And you should, every single day. Use some of this stack. Use some of this stack. Use some of these clock ticks to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for your actions and your inactions. And don't let nobody hold you in a guilt space once you have forgiven yourself of it all. And when you become a topic of conversation for somebody else's issues and you're free, remain free. Because reconciliation requires unity of more than one individual. So we can ask for forgiveness and we can do that ourselves. But to be reconciled means that we are coming back again into a state of unity, and we're willing to do the work to ensure that our differences are no longer dividing us. So reconciliation sometimes never happens because the other person may not ever want to reconcile. The other organization, the other institution, the other people, however few and however large. If there is an unwillingness to reconcile, nothing you can do about it. But attempts should be made once forgiveness has occurred. That's why this conversation on day 1, the day of UMOJA, is so important. Because it's a day where we have to tease those things out. So set some time aside if you are going to engage in Kwanzaa this particular day. This day, December 26th, is a day that we should be looking at making sure that we're coming to the table in a state of I am forgiven, because I've asked my Creator to forgive me and I've forgiven myself. So hopefully you will forgive me, but if you don't forgive me, then I can still remain forgiven. However, if there is no forgiveness between us, then what we have missed is something that the Apostle Paul said is a ministry in and of itself, and is not the ministry of forgiveness, is the ministry of reconciliation. So the higher work is when we are unified. So yeah, Queen Time Machine ain't just jaw-jacking. When I'm telling you that we need to stand in solidarity, is because there is power in unity. So happy Kwanzaa. Happy day one. And we will talk about day two as well when we get there. And we're going to talk about every day of Kwanzaa, and then this other celebration that actually started yesterday is the 12 days of Christmas. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me all of those. Yep, we're going to go through all of them, but I'm going to talk to you about the 12 over the next days, because day one in the 12 days of Christmas was actually yesterday. So, or 2 days ago if you're in the down under. So the first day of the 12 days of Christmas start on Christmas. So shifting to looking at crosscatholic.org, dynamiccatholic.com, christmasstories.org, 12daysofchristmas.com. 12 Days of Christmas, also known as 12 Days of Christmas Tide, is a festive Christian season celebrating the Nativity. So the 12 days of Christmas, which start on Christmas, celebrate the Nativity. Christmas Day is the first day. The 12 days are December 25th through January 5th, counting the first and the last day, so it's an inclusive count. The octave, or the 8th day, is New Year's Day, and the feast of the circumcision that Jesus would have been circumcised in accordance with the Jewish faith. That would have been day 8, because that's when vitamin K, which is one of the factors, the clotting factors, and it really is true that the clotting factor happens at day 8. Okay, well, I was at the hospital. They circumcised my son on day 2. Yes, that's because we actually give you vitamin K to that child so that the circumcision can happen safely. Yeah, if that raises some questions, I am not giving you medical advice. I'm just giving you some information. So talk to your physicians. And I got some really stomped down physician friends and advanced level practitioners and healthcare savants who follow me that you can ask, who can give you the advice from that platform. So the octave, the 8th day, is New Year's, and New Year's happens to be the 8th day, and the 8th day would have been the day that Jesus was circumcised. So the evening of the last day of the 12 days of Christmas is the 12th night, which represents Epiphany Eve, and the next morning then is Epiphany, which commences the season of Epiphany Tide in certain traditions. So the liturgical season of Advent that we've been in, waiting for the birth. Well, now the birth has happened. So now that we have received that which we have expected, now we are going to celebrate for 12 days to enter us into this new space. Aha! Because that's the best way to define epiphany. It is the aha that occurs. But for Christian denominations such as Anglican Communion, the Lutheran Church, 12 days are identical to Christmastide, December 25th through January 5th. For the Roman Catholic Church, however, Christmastide lasts longer. It runs through the feast of the baptism of the Lord, and for some, the 12 days are considered December 26th through January 6th, thus including Epiphany. So you'll hear some of these, one day off based on how that construct of the liturgical belief is. In 567, the Council of Tours proclaimed the 12 days of Christmas to Epiphany, that is through the end of January 5th, as Epiphany begins the following day as a sacred and festive season, and establishes the duty of Advent fasting in preparation of the feast. Christopher Hill, as well as William J. Federer, states that this was done in order to solve the administrative problem for the Roman Empire as it tried to coordinate the solar Julian calendar with the lunar calendar of its provinces in the east. Wow, have we found out a whole lot about things that we are just so ironclad on? And then when we go back and we start doing some digging, how you spending? How you spending? How are you spending biases, prejudices, assumptions, stereotypes, things that you didn't know were in you until you're learning more about some of these festivities. And hopefully you're being challenged by your own beliefs. And where you have thought wrong and believed wrong, let it be so. And then be reconciled with yourself. The only person you can reconcile with without there being a second person, because you got to have a relationship with you. So now, this Christmas carol, the 12 Days of Christmas, actually has Christian meaning behind its lyrics. So when we go into the biblical and liturgical meaning of the song and how we can still use it as a guide to remembering what's important during the special time of the year, just as it was centuries ago, this memorable song can be a great guide to teaching our children, our grandchildren, our generations important spiritual truths. So just as we are looking at this first day of Kwanzaa, as I'm talking to you about the 12 days of Christmas, as we looked at Hanukkah, all of these are carrying on teachings and traditions to ensure that we have a better place to live and that we are maximizing positivity to our planet and our people so that we can prosper in peace. So you see, a lot of what? Storytelling. So what I'm doing in storytelling, giving you facts, giving you education, telling you, yes, I may come across as a teacher, but the best teacher is always a student, especially those of andragogy, those who have studied such. You know, I can't get into that right now because I have a master's in adult education and I will go off on a tangent, so I won't. So, when do the 12 days of Christmas start? Because I got to keep myself in check as well. On the Catholic Church liturgical calendar, the 12 days of Christmas are celebrated from Christmas Day until Epiphany on January 6th, which commemorates the Magi, or the wise men, when they visited Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. In many countries worldwide, Epiphany is known as Three Kings Day, and it is another day of gift giving and traditions that honor the Holy Family, Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. While the Advent season looks forward to the coming of Christ, Christmas season celebrates the arrival of Christ. This season is known as Christmastide, and it lasts through Candlemas on February 2nd, the Feast of the Presentation of the Lord, when we commemorate Jesus's presentation at the temple, different than him being circumcised. So the legend behind the 12 days of Christmas, the full history of the 12 days of Christmas song, is widely debated. Well, what's new? All these traditions, we're finding out that they are widely debated. So I'm giving you what may seem like a lot of information is still really cursory in each of these areas, and I always encourage you to delve deeper. Well, the 12 days of Christmas does not disappoint. It does the same thing. There's a lot of controversy between it. The song was first published in a book in England in 1780, and it was thought to be French in origin. The tune we sing now was composed by an Englishman by the name of Frederick Austin in 1909. So 1780 to 1909, do the math. You do that math because we get ready to have to do the 12 days of Christmas math. Catholics in England were not permitted to practice their faith openly until 1558 to 1829. And for that reason, many believe that this song was hidden. It was a hidden way to teach the tenets of faith with meaning that was only known to those who were following it in the church. So what do they mean? Today would be the second day. So each day I'm going to talk about the meanings, but let me tell you initially kind of this overview of how complex this hidden storytelling is. The 12 days of Christmas actually kind of remind me of Harriet Tubman Frederick Douglass, kind of that kind of flavor of doing things not in secret, but in solidarity and sacredly. So sacredly, it had to come across secretly in order to be carried out. Nothing different with the 12 days of Christmas. The first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. A partridge in a pear tree. Partridge is a bird that is known to sacrifice its life for its babies. So this bird in this song represents Jesus. Jesus, who is willing to give his life for us. The pear tree symbolizes the cross. So on the first day of Christmas, we have a partridge in a pear tree, which is Jesus on the cross. That was the hidden truth. On the second day of Christmas, which would be today, then my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. So numerically, mathematically, this song is an additive, and it deals with triangular mathematic equations, not just hidden biblical truths. So I will explain that it again in a cursory way, even though it may seem like I'm being comprehensive. So the first day, partridge in a pear tree. Second day, 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. Okay, so what about these 2 turtle doves? Did you know that turtle doves will mate, often have one mate for their entire life? So because of this, turtle doves are seen as symbols of love, as symbols of fidelity, and as symbols of connection. So in the 12 days of Christmas, the 2 turtle doves represent the Old and the New Testament, which are deeply connected and very meaningful. So today, we would have had, on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree, which would have been 1. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. So in day 2, you get 3 gifts. The first day, you get 1 gift. Day 2, you get 3 gifts because you get the additive of day 1 plus day 2. So 1 on day 1, and on day 2, the gift of 1 and the gift of 2, which is 3. We will see that additive all the way through 12 days, and then I will show you that additive as we go through them. What I want to cover, instead of going through all 12, the key that I want to talk about mathematically real quick is that when you do all of the first day of Christmas, second day of Christmas, third day of Christmas, and these additive gifts, the key to working out the total number of gifts over all 12 days are called a tetrahedral number, which are made up from triangular numbers. And these are also the number of gifts that my true love gave to me on each of the days, the first 5 days of Christmas. So for instance, on the 5th day, I was given 5 golden rings plus 4 calling birds plus 3 French hens plus 2 turtle doves plus a partridge in a pear tree. So on that 5th day, I received 15 gifts. And I'm going to tell you each day how many gifts we would have received. So then how do we find out the total number of gifts for all 12 days? Well, you have to add up the first 12 of the triangular numbers, the 1 plus 3 plus 6 plus 10 plus 15, all the way up to the 12th term. And you add up the first triangular number to give you the nth tetrahedral number. And as we look at those tetrahedral numbers, it gets us the total number. You don't have this. I ain't going to give you no test. But some of you want to know that. All right, I gave it to you. But what I want you to know is that when we get down to the 12th day and we do the additive of day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the total gifts are going to be 364. So some of the intricacies of this song is that you end up having enough gifts for every day of the year, excluding Christmas itself. So far, day 1, we received 1 gift. Day 2, today, we received 3 gifts. So far, we have received 4 gifts. And when you come back tomorrow, we're going to talk about what did you get on day 3. But as we are in the 12 days of Christmas, and as we are in these 7 representative days of Kwanzaa, I want us to be able to, again, in solidarity, come together. Go and listen to the 12 days of Christmas. Go and watch a video on Kwanzaa, because I'm not giving you anything that's done in secrecy, but rather let's give it exposure so we can have a society that is in solidarity so that we can stand in unity. It's a season of forgiveness. We're coming to the end of the calendar year of 2025. What is it that's so important for you to hold on to? That brings negative energy, that brings unnecessary, unfortunate consequences, that position us to be on opposite sides of any street. We need to build bridges, not burn them, and to make sure that there are no gaps in the crevices that could take someone under and out in a negative light. So some of it is just as simple as, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Some of it is as simple as, don't complain and don't explain. So silence isn't always that explanation can't be made. But sometimes the answer is silence, because don't complain and don't explain. Keep it moving. And it's just nice to be nice. And it doesn't cost us anything. Except for seconds. So, as the Queen Time Machine representing the Kingdom Time Zone, God's clock and creation's watch, I want to say happy Kwanzaa and happy day 2 of the 12 days of Christmas. Just the mere fact that people are able to come up with these foundational constructs for us to coalesce around, I'm hoping to be providing that same thing. Everybody can't be everybody, and none of us can be everything to everybody. But if we just choose to be who we're supposed to be and not try to eliminate anybody else, and sometimes not complain nor explain, but stand. Thank you for standing with me. This video so far is 33 minutes, which means I'm going to be asking you for 1 second of each of those minutes. And I know that you can do it. 1 second for every minute. And I'm going to give you the breakdown of how many seconds this was, and I'm asking you to give me 1. Please. Thank you. And I'm not going to make you do the math or to understand the triangular or tetrahedrals or even everything in the meaning of the 7 candles of Kwanzaa. But I will say, happy day 2 of 12 and happy unity, UMOJA. Happy Kwanzaa. It's always only until soon. Love and peace, agape and shalom. Enjoy being you today, because you are the best person to be you. And it's a great day to be you. Until soon. Thank you in advance.